Hello, I'm Siobhan McGee. I'm the director of an organisation called Fundacion Universal Colombia. I've been living in Colombia for nearly 26 years now, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about our work. I came to Colombia in 1988 as a volunteer to work supposedly for just 2 years with a parish in a village called Guayabal in the department of Tolima. There had been a volcanic disaster which had wiped out a town called Armero, and about 25,000 people had died. So I came to work in the village beside Armero, where some of the people who survived were living, and with the people who were originally from the village. I worked with the parish for 2 years, with the priest and the team of nuns. But then I decided that I wanted to stay on. By that time I was already writing some proposals for development projects and sending them back to the organisation Fundacion Universal in England. My mother's on the board of the organisation and helped to found it. So I continued working, first in the village and then later on came to the town, the capital of the department of Tolima, which is called Ibagué. In the village, as well as the work with the parish, which was with all the communities, hamlets, up in the mountains, on the hot plain, as well as in the village itself, we then worked on a health education project. The idea of teaching people about healthy eating, hygiene, a bit of preventative health care, because they didn't have that much access to doctors or to hospitals. There was only a small health post in the village and not all people could get there. When we came to the town of Ibagué, we came to an area on the outskirts of the town which was really just being built. We came even before the area was built. We were invited by the organisation which was building the area and developing it to do a project with the people of the new area. So we came to the town of Ibagué, the capital of the department of Tolima, in 1996. Very gradually we'd built our house there. At first the house was our office for the first 3 years. Only the ground floor, and we with 2 small children, that was when our daughter was born and our son was small, worked with a small team on the project that we were working on at that time. And then very gradually we started to build the project building. Here's a photo of when we were starting to build. That's probably about 1999. We had some funds from a project funded by the European Union and some other small projects that we had with funding from Holland and Germany at that time, and we started to build. We built in kind of different sections, a few offices, a big room first with a nursery, then a few offices, then another bit, and so we carried on over probably about 10 years or more building what is now the office building. Here you can see the kind of second stage of the building. As I say, the first thing was just one big room to be the nursery for 3 groups of 15 children, so 45 children in all, between 2 and 5 years old. And this is kind of the second stage of the building, the first part of offices. That was when we could move from our house up to working in offices up there where the nursery already was. This is me with Gabriel, our son. He was probably about 3 at this stage, 3 or 4. Here you can see the first bit that we built, the big room for the 3 nurseries all together, and some plants and trees that neighbours helped us to plant around it. Here you can see the project building with much more built, so the first building, the first block of offices, and another part of offices behind the first building as you're seeing it in this photo. That was when we could, all the team, move up to the project buildings and have office space there with toilets and kitchen and everything. As part of our strategy, we've always tried to concentrate on the groups that we feel are in most need, as in children, women, young people, small children, particularly in the nursery, but children of other ages for our different projects, the projects that we could get funding for. Here you can see the first groups of children and young people in the area who are now adults with children of their own, some of whom are in our nursery already now, which is great. Work on Saturdays with children about reading and writing, helping them to improve in those kind of skills for school. They weren't all great at that starting this course, but at the end of it they'd improved enormously, and some of them were even writing stories and poetry. Here you can see a group of adults. We've worked a lot with women, but we've tried to involve men as well, although it isn't so easy to get men involved in this kind of community work and these kind of themes. We always work with the parents of the nursery children. We always try to do some kind of training and capacity building with them, and we've had other projects, as I mentioned, on things like health education, healthy eating, human rights, women's rights, children's rights, a whole variety of themes which we feel and which we've worked on with people that they feel could be useful for them. So now we've got the project building a bit more organised from the photos that I was showing you. We've got more of the space built. We've got, as well as offices, the nursery rooms, the kitchens, the toilets. We've also got kind of a few open spaces for meetings, for training, for sessions. We've got a little library with some books for children to do their homework. Children don't normally have books or dictionaries at home, and many of their parents haven't done full primary or full secondary education. So the children come up in the afternoons to us to have access to books, to dictionaries, and people to help them with their homework. The rest of the space, we've planted trees. We've got a bit of the mountain which we planted a lot of trees on, and other plants, trying to take care of nature and teach the children, or help the children and the groups to always remember to plant things, not to cut trees down, and all those kind of themes. To tell you a bit about the projects that we've got going at the moment. We've got a nursery project which is funded by the Government Welfare Department. That's the part of the government which is responsible for children and young people and women. At the moment we've got 200 children, which is great. We've got children from 2 to 5 years old. At 5 they have to go on to government school, but we help them to get their places in the school, and we make sure that they go straight onto school and aren't out of school between school and nursery. In our project building we've got 100 children, and in 2 other buildings, one fairly near us and one further away in displaced areas, we've got 40 children in one and 60 children in the other, which makes up the 200 children. They have care from 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. They have 2 healthy snacks and a lunch, a full lunch, cooked lunch, which makes up 70% of their nutritional requirements in a day, according to their age, the size of the portions and everything. The nursery ladies are now teachers. They've now done the right kind of training to become teachers to take care of them. And they have other kind of activities, going to the library, they have musical instruments, they do dance, singing, theatre. They have learned to grow plants in a little vegetable garden. They have a whole range of themes for nursery children. We also have a project which is mother and baby groups. That's 400 beneficiaries, which are kind of women with babies or expecting babies. Either expecting babies or with children up to the age of 2. That works in a lot of areas. The town is divided up into communes, and it covers commune 6, 7 and 8. So I suppose we're probably talking about 15 areas, all obviously the poorest areas and the poorest people who need the programme most. They have educational themes every day of the week. They receive a snack according to their nutritional needs, be it expecting a baby, feeding a baby, and for the babies and children of the different ages, and they receive a package of food once a month. We also have a project which is funded by Miserio, the German bishops' organisation in Aachen. That project is working with women and young people in the town of Ibagué, the town that we're in, again in the poorest areas, and in 3 villages called Rovira, Valle de San Juan and San Luis, which are villages all about an hour or a couple of hours away from Ibagué. That's helping women and young people to work on their rights and the way that they can take part in the different committees and political spaces that exist for them in their villages or in the town, so that they can have more say in their own development, they can work towards public policies. We're also working with funding from the Government Welfare Department. We're working on a project with Indigenous children and young people. That's with 500 Indigenous children between I think 7 and 16 or 5 and 16. 300 children in the Indigenous communities around one village, and 100 children in Indigenous communities around another 2 villages. All those 3 villages and their respective Indigenous communities are quite far away from Ibagué. I think the nearest one is about 2.5 hours, another one maybe like 3 or 4, and the furthest away is about 6 hours away from Ibagué. That's obviously more of a journey. That project is working on particular themes to do with Indigenous children's rights, their participation in school, health systems, all that they need to ensure their complete development and their possibilities. Those are probably the projects that we're working on now. We've also got some small funding from interested groups in Germany and England, which are to do with the education for children in the afternoons. The ones who I've met, children in Colombia only go to school in the morning or in the afternoon, either from 6 in the morning until 1 midday, or from 1 midday until 6 in the evening. So they have the other half of the day free. That's when we have the children who can come in the afternoon for the help with their homework. They also do things like dance, theatre, music, painting, drawing, some manual activities, making things. They learn English and German with a German volunteer girl who was sent to us by the Diocese of Aachen. The Diocese of Aachen is twinned with Colombia, and they've been sending us volunteers, young girls and boys who finished their secondary education and have a year off before going on to university, so about 19, 20 years old. They've been sending us those volunteers, one for a year each, since 1997. It's been a very good relationship with the Diocese of Aachen and the young people's organisations there. That's probably the projects that we're working on and the things that we're doing at the moment. So to tell you a bit about the team, I'm the director, my husband Jaime is what's called the coordinator of projects. We've got 4 educators, a secretary, a finance person, and for the nurseries and the project with women and babies, which I've told you about, we've got about 55 women. That's between what are called teachers, the ones who are called teaching assistants, who are the same kind of ladies but haven't done all the course as yet, cleaners, and the kitchen ladies, the ladies who prepare the food, the lunches and the snacks for the children. So that's probably what we're doing and who we are. We're very, very grateful for the help that you're giving us, and we're very grateful for your interest in us as an organisation, our beneficiaries, the work that we're doing. We're very happy to be able to share what we're doing with you and hear about who you are and what you're doing and what you're interested in. Greetings to everybody there, all the parishes, the primary and the secondary schools, and Colum and all the Colombia group. Thank you very much for everything. We're very grateful and we're very happy for this friendship with you.